Welcome to Cook the Garden Podcast, your weekly audio source for delicious and easy garden fresh recipes and growing tips. I'm your host, Ginain Grays. Let's cook the garden. Hello, and welcome back to the Cook the Garden Podcast. You're listening to episode number 7. So this is going to be a wickedly fun one today, friends. With Halloween about a week and a half away, I wanted to take a little break from the traditional recipes and just take a different approach this week. You know, I use any occasion as an excuse to make a delicious charcuterie board or a snack board. So this week, I'm sharing how to make an epic Halloween-themed charcuterie board. If you follow my blog, Cook, Pray, Slay, on social media, you know that I love to share my snack boards from time to time. I just absolutely love to make them. In fact, I find the process rather therapeutic, sort of like gardening. And speaking of gardening, these boards are just a great way to use up what you're growing in your garden. You can basically use fruits, veggies, and fresh herbs straight from the garden to create a beautiful and delicious charcuterie board. Later in the episode, I'll share a special offer that I'm extending to you, my podcast family. So you'll definitely want to stick around for that later. So first things first, let's talk about how we're going to display your board. There are so many different factors when it comes to deciding how you're going to display your board, but this is where you can get really creative. I have personally used a variety of different platters. You can also use baking sheets. You can get really creative with this. So the sky's the limit. There really are no rules when it comes to making snack boards or charcuterie boards. You can get as creative as you like. You can even make your board directly on parchment paper. Just lay out some parchment paper on a table or a flat surface and you build your board right there, kind of like a grazing table. So again, there are no rules. Just get creative. The only thing I would definitely make sure to remind you all is you want to make sure that you're using food grade platters or boards. I see a lot of decorative boards out there that aren't meant to have food on them. So you definitely want to make sure that you get something that is food grade appropriate if you're going to have your food on it. To make your board extra festive and extra spooky, you can actually incorporate some really fun props and decorations onto your board. I've seen people using skeletons as centerpieces. You can just have so much fun with it. Just make sure if your props are touching your food, just again, make sure that it is appropriate for food grade and also making sure that they're clean. And you don't want to use really small sized props because you don't want it to become a choking hazard, especially if you have children around. So just be mindful of that. Okay, friends, so let's get to the good stuff. This is where we start talking about what we're going to use to build our boards. So I love to start, normally I typically start with meats and the cheeses, but because this is more of a gardening room and we talk about fresh fruits and vegetables, I'm going to go ahead and start with the fruits. I normally stick to in-season produce for all of my boards. I like to keep it seasonal. So the fresh fruits is always such a hit, and the sweetness of the fruits pairs so well with the salty and savory flavors that we'll add to the board. So I'll just run through a few of my favorite fruits that I add on my boards and fruits that actually work really nicely on a festive Halloween board. So we'll start with grapes. I love grapes. I add grapes to most of my boards any time of the year. Green grapes especially look really nice displayed on a Halloween board. Blackberries is another really great option. The deep, beautiful color of blackberries. Oh gosh, it just screams just spooky and wicked, right? So that would be a really great addition to a Halloween board. Figs are another really great addition as well to any board, but especially I love the unique shape and even the look of the fig when you slice it open. It's just so unique and it looks so different and it looks really nice on like a Halloween theme board as well. So I will definitely be utilizing my figs from my new fig tree. I'll be utilizing my figs in my charcuterie board. So I'm really excited about that. Kiwi is another great fruit. It's perfect. The color of kiwi is just that bright, vibrant green, and the inside is just so unique and different. It would really look beautiful. It looks beautiful on any board. And then, of course, you have your apple slices, just keeping with that fall seasonal theme. Fresh apples are just you just can't go wrong with that, especially using the green apples. They go really well on a Halloween board. And then let's remember our dried fruits as well. Dried apricots are amazing. I like to have a mixture of different dried fruits on my charcuterie boards. And the orange, the beautiful deep orange of the dried apricots looks really beautiful on a Halloween theme board as well. And then you have your salt and savory flavors. What makes a board so really great and delicious are the various flavors, right? So with the sweet, you also have to have that salty and savory flavor to balance it out. So I always like to include nuts, whether they're almonds or walnuts. And then don't forget your crackers. You've got your crackers, your breads, your chips. I love to use the blue corn chips because of the dark color, and it just looks really amazing on a scary Halloween board. So, now let's talk a little bit about our meats and cheeses. I always like to have a wide variety of cheeses. Typically, the rule of thumb is to serve at least three different types of cheeses. You've got your firm, your soft, and your semi soft cheese. But this also depends on the size of your board and who's eating off of the board. For kid friendly boards, I normally stick to a softer, more semi soft cheeses. So here's a fun Halloween board idea using mozzarella balls. So you want to take those mozzarella balls and put them in a bowl and place those candy eyeballs that you can just, buy at the grocery store, or you can actually order them off of Amazon as well. Take those little candy eyeballs and place them on top of the mozzarella balls. And there you go. I mean, that is just such a great idea to just level up your Halloween board. I guarantee you it'll be a hit. A few of my favorite cheeses I use on my boards include brie, Gouda, and an aged or white cheddar. For a kid friendly board, I would stick to a cheddar cheese. This is always a favorite among kids. And the bright orange of the cheddar cheese actually looks really great on a Halloween theme board. So, a fun tip for your cheeses is to actually use Halloween shaped cookie cutters, and you can make different spooky shapes. You can make pumpkins out of your cheeses. It just adds another layer of fun and it makes it very festive for your Halloween theme board. So, for your meats, a prosciutto is always a favorite on cheese boards, and specifically for a Halloween board, you can get really creative. I've seen really creepy looking boards using prosciutto to make skulls, severed body parts. Okay, I won't gross you guys out too much, but you can Google some ideas if that's what you're going for. And you just can't go wrong with a Genoa salami. It's a really great choice. I love working with this type of salami because it's easy to work with when it comes to styling your board. Peppered salami and a Spanish style chorizo are also really great, amazing flavors to add to the board. I also like including something pickled. Olives, especially black olives, are really cool looking on Halloween boards. I also love to include different types of spreads and jams. Specifically, fig or apricot jams are really delicious. Honey or hummus. Those are all really great options to include. And you want to make sure you have separate small bowls to include those in. And you can just place them throughout your board. And you don't want to forget to have your spreaders and your cheese knives available. Those are absolute must-haves for charcuterie boards. And let's not forget the sweets. I mean, this is a Halloween themed board, so you can use candy like M&Ms or chocolate covered pretzels are always really delicious to include for something sweet. And remember your herbs. Top your board with fresh rosemary sprigs, thyme, basil, or even mint. You can use whatever you have available in your garden. So, if you really love this topic and love the idea of making your own charcuterie board, I have a treat for you. So, I'm so excited to announce that I have a live virtual class coming up this week on Friday, October 21st at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The purpose of this class is to help walk you through all of the steps and my tips and tricks for making and creating your one-of-a-kind charcuterie board. With the holidays coming up, this is the perfect time to learn this new skill. If you're interested in learning more about my charcuterie board building class, visit my website at cookprayslay.com under the Cooking Classes tab. And I'll also include a link to all of the information to my charcuterie board class within the show notes. It's definitely not too late to sign up. Each ticket will get you the full grocery list of suggested items, a list of supplies, and even a wine pairing guide. Each attendee will also get the recorded class, which is great for the times you need to rewatch it or just when you need a refresher. Like with all of my cooking classes, you can plan on having a ton of fun. I'm also excited to include a special deal for my amazing podcasting community. Use promo code PODCAST20 to get an additional 20% off of the class. I will also include all of that information in the show notes. Thank you all for joining me today. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you again soon. Take care, friends. Thank you for tuning in to this week's Cook the Garden. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a 5-star review. As a new podcast, it really helps to add value while growing our awesome community. As always, I really appreciate it. Until next time, friends, keep slaying those garden fresh recipes.